Time for an unboxing of some John Foxx reissues. I haven't done an unboxing of vinyl on the channel for ages, simply because I haven't been buying so much and I've tried to cut down with buying records. Why is there a yellow tote bag with the word Capri on my unboxing table? Well, I bought this recently in the bookshop Concilia on the Italian island of Capri, where I went for my holidays, and I've been many times, and there's lots of videos on the channel about it. And how is this germane to John Foxx? Well, once upon a time, I remember John and I were talking about our visits to Italy, and I was discussing the Golden Section with him, which I feel is his most Italianate album. And of course, John was influenced by the Italian Renaissance, and Italian culture generally has been a sort of thing in his work, with a summery feel of things from the garden and the Golden Section. And we talked about our experiences of visiting some of the famous villas there. We talked about Villa San Michele. You can see that in my Capri vlog on the channel. And it's a very special place. Lots of artists and musicians and outsiders spent time there, especially between 1880 and 1950. And it has a particular Eurocentric appeal to anybody who likes the work of Foxx from this period. So I would say do go there, or at least watch the videos on my channel. I've got a vlog about it, and there's more coming about all sorts of artists, writers who spent time there. I haven't seen John for a long time because he lives in Bath, has a house in Bath. I live in Bath as well. I work in the city centre a few days a week, but I've not seen him for a while. I've not seen him so much since the pandemic, and of course he's a busy man. I do bump into him now and again, but of course Bath's a small city, so it's quite hard to be a flaneur and go unnoticed there. So we'll just see what we've got here. There we go. Let's get the cardboard out of the way. So as you can see, we've got Annexe. Really, really beautiful, isn't it? And my favourite Foxx album of all time. I've still got my original, which I bought back in the day. And yeah, the Golden Section, absolutely lovely. The Golden Section is one of my favourite records of all time, it has to be said. It's my favourite Foxx album. And I think for me, it has the perfect blend of rock and electronica in his work. It's the very wonderful Robin Simon's on there. And I just think the songs are sort of sublime, really, and John looks fantastic there. I always think of him as the T.E. Lawrence of the synthesizer, the sort of Catholic genius, and I mean that in the broader sense. And of course there's some sort of hints of Christianity, Catholicism on this record. Now, I was going to curate these today, but of course they're gatefold sleeves. Now, mine came on Saturday. I know a lot of people got theirs Friday, some of us until Saturday. I was working Saturday, Sunday today. So I'm just going to clip the shrink off and we'll have a look. And yeah, I've still got my original, and this is on clear vinyl, of course, and I was hoping it would be on yellow vinyl, if I'm honest, because I think that's more fitting to the Golden Section. Of course, it's all about light and how it breaks up, and that wonderful diagram. You can look the Golden Section up. Yeah, and it's great to see this reissued, so lovely, fantastic. And John was looking good then, wasn't he? He really, really was. Fantastic stuff. Look at that, beautiful, nice gatefold. So I didn't have a gatefold at the time, of course, and it's got a lovely gold inner sleeve. Now I'm pretty sure that the inner sleeve of the original isn't gold. Yeah, that's a great picture of John there, isn't it? Fantastic. And we'll have a look at the vinyl. Let's say it's clear. I don't know about you, but I find an awful lot of things these days, it's very, very tight, isn't it? Because this whole 180 gram thing. There you go. It's a nice clear though. It's not that sort of glassy clear. It's the sort of subtler, softer clear, which I much prefer. And I'm just going to grab an inner sleeve to curate that, because I personally don't like any wear on the actual inner, and I like to get the LP itself into a poly-lined inner. So I'll just slip that in there. And I normally have PVC outers, but I don't have any gatefold ones at the moment. I get them from Covers 33, who I always mention because they're very good. But I'm behind, so because I'm not buying so much, and you've got to buy them in batches. So yeah, look at that. Isn't that fantastic? Really beautiful. And the songs, well, what can you say? Mile Wide Love is just amazing. It sort of zips along, and it's got that wonderful, sublime melody, and it sort of blends romantic with a small r, with European romanticism with a large r, and a sort of religious feel as well. And I've often wondered, you know, is it a song about Christ? You know, is it just a love song? You could take it a number of ways basically, and I think that's so magnificent about it. And that line, "I see your face in stained glass windows," you know, it's just absolutely beautiful, isn't it? It really, really is. And when I first moved to this city, to Bath, I spent a lot of time listening to the Golden Section on headphones, on a Walkman, as you did then. And I remember sitting looking at some of the churches around the city, and it was just ideal because it was a sort of blazing summer when I first moved here, and it was the ideal record, really. Fantastic stuff. And yeah, Your Dress, I mean, well, can you think of anything more sublime than Your Dress, more glamorous? That soaring synth. And, you know, it sort of captures those beautiful moments in your life. It really, really does, you know, where you sort of find somebody and it's all very special. Running Across Thin Ice with Tigers, it's got that thing, "I met an angel in a ruined suit," stranded on Broadway. It's just superb, the feeling you get from it. You know, you have to have that feeling of the city and light, and, you know, the horrid escapade. Wonderful. Endlessly, with its psychedelic overtones. Like a Miracle, The Hidden Man, Twilight's Last Gleaming. I mean, these are songs which sort of go beyond words for me, and I listen to them a lot while I'm in Italy, again on the phones, and they sort of really expand your consciousness with the light. And, you know, I really do lose words of this. I'm not generally a person who's lacking in eloquence, being a writer and a bookseller, but this album really does take my breath away. So it's beautiful to have that in a gatefold, and I must get some PVC outers. Yeah, so lovely job. Delightful to see that reissue at last. I think you'll agree. Then of course we have Annexe, and do you know, when I was younger and these things were first appearing, I wasn't so keen on this style of design that was coming up on some of the singles and 12 inches and things, and now I really love it. I understand it more. I think it fits more with John's sort of background in the visual arts. And I remember one day we were talking about Piranesi, which was an interesting conversation. So yeah, and you know, this is one thing I do like, is taking shrink wrap off stuff. So this is really beautiful, isn't it? Great. And I must say, some of these tracks, even though I've got them all on CD, I've not played for a long time. And of course, John's oeuvre now is absolutely massive. He's produced an awful lot, and the general quality overall has been just, you know, magnificent, hasn't it? He's really kept it up. He's one of the few people who I've continued to buy into, dare I say it, you know, full maturity. I'm not going to say old age, because a great artist is never old. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous, isn't it? The red and the geometric forms. Yeah, that's really, really lovely, isn't it? Absolutely lovely. Super. And it's great to have this on vinyl. And I don't, was this ever released on vinyl in this format? It wasn't an LP, was it? I'm sure it was sort of singles and things. So I'm sure a lot of you will be screaming at me now, because I can't remember my discography. Lovely. Absolutely lovely. And let's have a look at the actual vinyl. So, and this is a stunning, look at that, red, and it's got a teal label there. Isn't that fantastic? And red on the other side. Absolutely beautiful. I think you'll agree. Let's get that curated, get that into an inner. Marvelous stuff. And you know, I'd admit I don't play my vinyl very much, just because my deck is under hundreds of CDs, and I don't have a huge house. I'm waiting to move to get a man cave, as they say, and then we'll really sort of let it go. And there is something about vinyl. It's the iconography, it's the ritual of playing it. Yeah, that is really beautiful. It's nice to have something which is old and yet new, isn't it? It really is. And that's the thing with John's work, it's kind of timeless, really. There's that sort of, despite the synthesizers and the modernity, there's always that hint of, you know, the past, of the Renaissance, of the awareness of history and the importance of art to human consciousness. And you can't really say enough good about it, can you, really? It's just really lovely stuff. So there we go. So there's two Foxx reissues. Really, really nice. And of course, you know, they're out there at the moment. They won't be out there forever. So snap them up while you can. And if you're unfamiliar with these works, you know, they are kind of essential, really, if you like electronica, and I think if you like Eurocentric rock, I think they're sort of like absolutely cardinal examples. And of course, shortly after this, a couple of years later, John did the In Mysterious Ways album, which we would like a reissue of. I'd like one on blue vinyl. And yeah, I guess we'll see that in the fullness of time. And then he fell silent for some years, you know, did a lot of work on sort of book designs and things. So I'm going to get that in there. As I say, things are tight these days when you're trying to curate your records. Everything's tight because of the 180 gram thing. And that's part of the challenge and part of the fun, I guess. Let's slip that into there. Get that there. So I think you'll agree that's rather beautiful. And something similar that I got recently, I'm just going to pop in as a bonus because you may not have come across it, is the sort of reissue of the Skids album, Days in Europa. Now this isn't quite on the same exalted level, but it's a great little record. I always found Richard Jobson's vocals a bit hard to take. Stuart Adamson's unique sort of guitar sound. I still got my original of this, and this got reissued recently, double vinyl, and I heard about it because I follow Rusty Egan on social media, and there you go, and lovely. And that's a real solid sort of yellow there. And this is of course the original mix, original version, because after about 6 months it was withdrawn, remixed and reissued, and the mix was pallid by comparison. And Bill Nelson of Bebop Deluxe produced this. It's really great stuff, really powerful sounding record. The synths particularly are really excellent. I really recommend them. And this is, I say, a full reissue double vinyl. You can get a CD, I'm sure, and it's a great record. And this is, I think, is it 79? So this is before the term New Romantic was used. And of course, nobody seemed to question when it came up, who were the original Romantics? Well, of course, they were people like, you know, Ultravox, the original Ultravox, and Japan. Before that, Roxy Music, David Bowie, you know, and the godfathers of punk, going back to the Doors, the Velvets, Iggy and the Stooges, and Alice Cooper, you know. So there was always that hint of European Romanticism. And this was supposedly caused a fuss at the time because it was said to be sort of like a reference to the Berlin 36 Olympics and, you know, the sort of perfect Aryan and what have you. And there's liner notes on the CD that says Skids actually researched the typeface, and apparently it's a Semitic one, so, you know, they couldn't really be accused of being sort of Nazi lovers. But if you never heard it, it's worth checking out. So there you go, as a little bonus for you. So lovely, lovely reissues there. And I guess we want In Mysterious Ways next, don't we, really? Hope you enjoyed that. Please subscribe, like, comment, what have you. Bye for now.